It's funny because the blade of grass like vibrates and it almost like cuts your upper lip when you do it, but it's worth it. What's up, you guys? I'm here at the beautiful Milo MacIver Park for the Beaver Stay Fling presented by Innova, and I wanted to take you along through a practice round to get you guys a sneak peek at the Milo gold layout, and I'm excited to have you guys follow along. Okay. All right, I've got my Gold Line Ballista Pro here in 173. Okay, got some really good glide with that, but it did end up hyzering out just about pin deep, so I think I actually want to go with a regular Gold Line Ballista. It's got a little bit more high-speed turn. All right, that turned out really well, and it ended up to being a really good correction. That's kind of why I have those two in the bag. Ooh, I kind of have a funny story about my putters on the next hole. This one was second shot, ended up much closer. Other shot was circle's edge. Probably end up going with this one. So I've got classic Warden as my main putter, and then I've got a Prime Burst as my like throw and approach putter. And funny enough, when I hit the road to head out on tour, got about 3 hours deep into the drive, and I realized that my main first run white classic Warden was not in my bag. So I kind of had to scramble, and luckily I just brought a lot of duplicates, so this is going to be the main Warden in the bag, and I still have not confirmed whereabouts of the first run white putter. I have left it at Putting League. I have no idea where it went. So for this one, we've got our 1,000-footer early on in the round, and this one, in my mind, the strategy is to stay on the left side of the fairway. Okay, that was a little bit more understable than I anticipated. I haven't thrown that disc in this area in a while. I think I'm gonna try and turn it up to the OptoX Chameleon Ballista and see if that has a little more fade at the end. Not quite the release that I wanted. Ended up a little bit high, but I think that's the disc that's gonna be more ideal for the shot if I can get the release point down. We've got a pretty technical approach, and I'm gonna see how far left I can push it to give myself an opportunity for the third shot. Nice. So that went really well, and I ended up getting an awesome skip because of the wide rim on the Ballista, and I'm on the left side of the fairway with maybe a look at the green. For me, my Biofusion Enforcer is, I call her my beefcake because it never flips in the headwind unless you do something silly about it. This is one of my most reliable high speeds, overstable. Always comes back. Ah! Pretty true to the flight though. Super straight glide and always a reliable hyzer finish at the end. All right, so after my third shot, I'm looking at maybe 150, 175. We've got a pretty low ceiling, and I want it to hyzer pretty well. Little bit of a misrelease, and it came out early and on a hyzer, so definitely not ideal. Let's see if perhaps we can execute this throw better and maybe get a better result. It came out a little bit early, so I'm kind of seeing if I can make a little bit of an adjustment in my step in there. As I feared, it had that extra glide, but it looks like it pushed the basket. So I feel like in a tournament situation, the fairway driver would be a better option. Felon went long. That would have been a tough putt, but I feel like that was the better disc selection. So I'm looking at a pretty straight shot and not a lot of variance left or right, but the distance is about 320, so I know that I definitely want to get the glide. So right now I'm kind of a toss-up between my Grace and then the Ballista Pro I threw again. Quite. Okay. Oh my gosh. Y'all, that would have been cool. So I think the Grace was would be the winner there. Enjoy. Throw in on the last one would have been cool. We're hunting for baskets today. And the nice thing is it didn't like kick 45 feet away. In tournament, that would still be a birdie.
Missy, taking the risk.
All right, so we have 300 on the dot, I am told, and we've got a little bit of a ceiling, so I'm actually gonna break out my Lucid Vandal. This is my go-to understable, like, utility fairway. Again, we are just like hunting the baskets right now. If that one probably went like what, 4 inches to the right of the basket and then hyzered in. So I think the assessment was fairly on point. So I've got a couple options for this one on game day. It is the ARP. Watch yourself. All right, so while the Vandal was an exciting ace run, it did end up flashing long and going OB. So I think during game day, my dad actually threw the hyzer line, and I might try a felon shot during my next practice round. See if I can get the birdie without running the OB long quite as much. Moving on to hole 5, we've already gotten 2. This is kind of an interesting tee shot. There's a tree right in the way, so I'm either gonna have to go to the right of it or to the left of it, but at the same time, I really, really want some distance. So I'm gonna need a disc that's glidey and maneuverable at the same time. Well, without that 5-mile-an-hour branch that cut me short, I think that disc was really nice. So let's see if this maybe fits the line. Ended up turning over a little bit too much. I think the Gold Line Ballista that I threw initially is going to be the better disc. I think I just need to get my release point a tiny bit lower. I'm seeing a potential like straight to hyzer line that I may want to try as well. Well, I executed that one better, A, and I got a better result. So we'll have to play with that one off the tee and see which one is going to be higher percentage for game day. So this is a really unique shot where you want to get some forward progress, but then have the disc break later on into an anhyzer later on in the flight. So that was beautiful, and it just kept turning right, but right immediately after I threw it, I realized it's a little bit more distance to bite off. So I think what I'm gonna do is return back to my trusty understable fairway that's gonna give me a little bit more glide with some reliable turnover. See, now that one actually ended up having the opposite problem where I went too long and pushed the long OB. So I think I might try a tweener. I think that was a really, really perfect medium in between. I still took it a little bit too wide and I could push the basket a little bit better. But that's why I love the Warship, is it fits perfectly in between like a mid-range and a fairway. So you get control and distance. It's like the best of both worlds. One of my favorite all-time discs. All right. I love my Classic Wardens for long putts. They have exceptional glide with like a reliable hyzer at the end. Always a nice soft hyzer. Close. I want to say I should have a pretty good opportunity to throw one of everything in my bag at least. So this one is going to be really interesting. We're looking at 245, which isn't a crazy amount of distance to play with, but we have a lot of left to right action. So right off the bat, I'm thinking that fuse might do really, really well based on the shot that I threw on the last hole. So we'll see how that goes, and then I think I have a secondary option if that doesn't have enough glide. And I think I want the high gap. Nope. Okay. Too much manual anhyzer. I think if I release it flat and then let it flip on its own, it might navigate the fairway a little bit better, but I'm going to try for the upper gap again just to see what happens. Let's try a little bit flatter release. Oh. It would have done it. So would have done it. Dare I try a forehand? Dare I? Little BB forehand. 245 is pushing my forehand distance, but we are making improvements every day. Maybe I don't think I have the net distance for it, but if I really need the angles, it might be an option. Okay, so as we were walking down the fairway, I noticed this like super interesting like flex line to the right side of the fairway. So I'm gonna see if I can take my felon and just do a classic felon flex line. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm long, but that's wide out in the open and clean and fun. Okay, so I've got a lot of options to think about here. So I've got a cheeky little upshot here. We've got maybe a 4x4 foot gap that I need to hit, and I just need it to go straight with a little bit of finish. And the perfect recipe for that is a nice moonshine harp, Ricky Wysocki. Does exactly what you need it to. Oh, and there's the felon in the circle. Perfect approach. Even if it gets a little risky, shouldn't be too hard to scramble on that one. Holy wham is real hole. Okay, so this is a hole I'm somewhat familiar with. I've played a handful of rounds out here at Milo. They've mixed it up with the gold, but this used to be hole 1 east, I believe, and forward progress is super duper valuable on this one. So I want something with an exceptional amount of glide, but not too much high speed turn. Okay, I don't know if it was the best throw, but I think it was a good result. It was a little bit early and left. So I'm gonna see if I can push something. Ooh, what do we do? What do we do? Honestly, I really want to throw that disc again and just hit my line, but what I think I'll do is just try the Grace and see if I can get a nice flex flight and maybe not worry so much about the landing zone, but just work on hitting my line. And once again, like finding my place off of the tee to get a consistent release point for game day. Still a little bit early and left, so there must be something I'm doing with my lineup, but I'm not too upset with the distance and the forward progress. So I think it should still be a pretty good result no matter what. So I got super duper lucky and ended up making it past some trees to give myself like a little bit of a look at the green here. This one, oh, it's like floating. This shot is just going to be super duper straight with a reliable hyzer at the end for some distance control, and I'm hoping to kind of like skip and check up under the green. So I'm hoping to just hit the gap flat and then let the disc do what it does. Huh. I think, yeah. So we got the distance. Even though I released it a little bit nose up and errant, the glide still carried me really, really well. And we'll have a chance to look at the basket. All right, just a very favorable lie. I think I hit the curb over there and I must have just kind of rolled and made it within, I would say, 25. So the felon had some good luck today. Yeah. Some good B-roll. All right, guys, so we've got an interesting shot here. It's something where you want to get probably about 300 feet of straight distance, but then you want almost an equal amount of leftward distance. So almost like a true spike hyzer wrapping around a dog leg here. And for shots like this, some people may think I'm gonna disc up to my like most overstable disc so I can get the most amount of hyzer, but what I like to do is I like to pick a fast disc, but not necessarily overstable. That way I get the ease of throw and I can get the height and glide that I need and still have that high speed fade at the end. Ah! That should be easy to find. Okay, I didn't execute the way I wanted to, so we're gonna try it again with something fast and understable.
I got a pink pop top gummy force from about 12 years ago. I'm gonna try to pop it up there, nice and fast. understable, kind of like Sai. Probably a little better.
That's a compliment. High compliment. See, then he took, you see how he's on the right side of the fairway, not the left side?
Delete it.
Funny thing that I kind of do is sometimes you'll find that the tee pads aren't necessarily pointing towards like the ideal fairway line. And so what I kind of do is like, if you stand back and hold your arms out, it's about fair, you know, tee pad width. So I will kind of like set down my own little tee pad and my own orientation towards my line, and then step onto my like imaginary tee pad a little bit. And I find it really, really helpful just lining up my shots. That way I can just kind of throw, you know, and execute my stroke confidently without worrying about, you know, oh, am I gonna throw a little bit early or late? And it allows me to be a lot more confident off the tee with just a quick little assessment as I step up. A bit of an overcorrection, but you can kind of see what I mean a little bit. I was starting over here initially, throwing left, and then starting over here, throwing right. Hopefully I can find a happy middle zone at some point. I'm kind of gonna drop a pin here on where I want my lie to be so I can get some practice on that second shot. I'm gonna use my recycled Ballista Pro. And that was pretty nice. Hopefully I will land here and not in the trees. All right, so I ended up with my pin drop shot. My second shot ended up pushing maybe 37 feet, which is super duper ideal. Oh, doggy. We'll have some fun highlight putts. All right, guys, we have a pretty awesome elevation shot here, but it's not by any means wide open. So we're still gonna have to shape a pretty technical shot in order to get a look at the basket. And right now, my OptoX Chameleon Ballista is just like performing such beautiful helix flights. So I'm hoping that with the elevation, I can get a really nice turnover, and then she can be a good disc for me and stable up right at the end. Yeah, I would say that was pretty close. Managed the headwind, didn't turn it over too much, and the disc came through for me at the end and hyzered right into a beautiful open area, and I'm really liking that shot right now. One and done, you know. Circle, edge of circle 2. I always debate like a little nose up throw or like maximum effort standstill. So we'll try maximum effort standstill and see how it goes. All right, guys, this is a really fun looking hole. It's pretty much wide open, so we're going for max distance here. And one thing I noticed a lot of people comment on that I wanted to give some insight into is my step in. A lot of people are commenting on how kind of minimal and how compact it is and how it's only, you know, 3 steps, and it was kind of just a little bit of an evolution in my game. I actually started with a full run-in, and then in an effort to kind of refine my form and kind of, you know, minimize unnecessary movements, I actually threw a standstill for quite a long time and then graduated into the 3 steps. So I definitely think at some point in the future I may incorporate more steps, and I guess it just depends on if those steps actually give me more distance. It's not my final form yet, but let's see how far we can get down this fairway nice and wide open. I typically don't like to throw my most overstable discs when I'm trying to get max distance. I like to take it with a little bit of elevation and almost put a little anhyzer on it, so the disc kind of has a little bit of extra glide as it's fighting and returning back into its hyzer. pretty good distance, but not necessarily ideal position. I think I wanted a lot more anhyzer, or I think what I may do is adjust my run in a little bit. The T-pad is kind of pointing exactly where my disc landed, so I think I'll just make a slight adjustment in my step in with a slightly different disc to see if we can maybe get a more ideal landing zone. Alright, that Ballista Pro in the recycled plastic is so beat in, it doesn't even fly like a Ballista Pro anymore. Alright, so we've got a decently long fairway approach. We've got a little bit of wind in the air right now, so I don't want to throw anything too understable or squirrely that's going to get weird. Let's see if we can put this one under the basket. A little tailwind. And it did exactly what it normally does, and that's really why I like it. The consistency of flight is always there. So if the gatekeeper doesn't do what you want it to do, it's usually your fault. Got a Sacagawea for you.
Oh, yes.
For fun to pass on.
I appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Gosh,
and I could feel it. I could seriously feel it. The messages that I got were just like so kind. It's crazy how many people are like, you as a person are so awesome. Not like your game is so cool or your forehand is so good, or like, I mean, people comment on my putts, but it was really heartwarming that a lot of people were like, wow, you're just cool and we like you.
People love you.
It's an honor. It's such an honor. So, this is another fairly wide open tee shot, but there's, for the ideal landing zone, you definitely want a right to left finish at the end. We've got a little bit of a tailwind, so I'm gonna throw my recycled Ballista Pro that's been playing a little bit flippy today. I'm gonna see if I can give it some height, put it on a big hyzer, and get a lot of right to left carry, as well as some good glide and distance. A little flippy. Come on now. I think that's pretty solid. Ideally, I think I wanted a little bit more leftward action. There was some headwind out there that kind of lifted and took it out there, but I think that's going to be a solid position to attack the hole from.
Do it again.
It's funny because like yeah. It's funny because the blade of grass like vibrates and it almost like cuts your upper lip when you do it, but it's worth it. So this is, I push the right side of the fairway, which closes off the hyzer angle. So right now I've got a left to right uphill in a tailwind, and that's pretty technical and pretty tricky. So I'm hoping that I can try and mess with some nose angle and get the tailwind to actually help my anhyzer and carry me. Footing is kind of funky. Okay, burnt it over just a tiny bit and also pinched off my angle on the right side of the fairway again, so not quite ideal, but I still think it was the right choice because it's uphill, and I think I made the right choice throwing something with a little bit more glide and a little bit less stability. I just didn't quite execute it as well as I wanted to. Okay, so I'm a little bit pinched off on the right side of the fairway as I predicted, and I'm kind of at an impasse here where I can either go to the right side of this little guardian or the left side. I mean, the left side is obviously the albatross line, so that's you know, a factor. I don't know if I'm that cool, so I think I'm probably gonna try and see if I can skip into the green with this short hyzer line. Let's try the VIP Felon. Let's see if we can put some nose angle on it and ride a nice round push hyzer. Executed the way I wanted to, didn't really see where it landed, so we'll see what happens. This one was kind of tricky. There's some wind out there today, so it made me lean towards my Biofusion Enforcer, but one thing is I know there's water to the left and there's some pretty gnarly tree to the left. It's really out of position, so I think we're gonna try to play with the wind, and if I do overturn it, it's still gonna be an easy 3. All right, it was a little short, but beautiful line, and once again I was able to execute a touchy shot in the wind with that ballista, so it's becoming a pretty solid staple in my bag right now, and I'm really excited about it. So I really love these like 100 to 120. I love just like a solid like little standstill run at the basket, and I've gotten kind of good at them. Kind of good at them. We hooping out here. Mouse for Calvin. All right, so this hole is really interesting. You have basically like 2 fairways you can play here, and I feel like you can kind of drop the 2 fairways into a forehand line and like a kind of obvious backhand line. You could shape, you know, the converse if you wanted to, but I, of course, loved backhand hyzer line up through the trees, so I'm gonna go with the Opto Chameleon Ballista and see if we can push out another beautiful helix flight. Got snagged by a little bit of cabbage, but that was pretty nice because we want some accuracy here as well. Placement is really important. Oh, sweaty hands. Boo! Yeah, we definitely might need to pick up a chalk bag. It is plain humid and hot out here in Estacada today. Blah. And I'm trying not to like just get my white shirt all like dirty. That's the putting putter. Thanks, Haley. I think that was like the first 2 I've gotten so far. So we've got some interesting choices to make here. There's probably 1, 2, 3 gaps I can hit, one being straight, one being slightly hyzered, and one being like ridiculous, kind of like Crazy Simon line hyzer. And I want something that I can hit pretty hard. I want something that's gonna have a decent amount of glide, but really I want that leftward carry. Nailed it. Skip. Yeah. Doesn't happen all the time, but that went pretty much the way I intended, and I think that's gonna set me up for a really good second shot. We've got a pretty fun anhyzer shot though, so my gorgeous Lucid Vandal. I'm like in a hole, so this is really funky. Foot fault. hard foot fault. But it was a good shot. I literally like, boom, stood like right on top of my disc. That was pretty funny. Ooh, yeah. Oh! Ah, the old razzle dazzle. You remember when I made that other 6 shot? I can't remember what, was it around that one or was it around that one? Yeah, it was with, I think it was with like Zoe and Jesse and somebody else on the card. And it was like circle 2, like blind hyzer around a tree. And Zoe like lost her mind. Killing me with the idiocracy quotes. Killing me. All right, so this is an interesting shot. We've got a pretty massive left to right, but you kind of, in my opinion, almost want to finish like a little bit soft. So the control on this shot is super important. With the wind out here today, I'm going to play overstable and then maybe notch down from there if I need to. Oh, well, that should be good. I feel like I heard it get caught up in a little bit of tree and then did like a kaplunk on the ground. So I almost want to say that like pulled out of it too early, but I kind of got a crazy idea to try the Vandal. I think the Vandal may get a little bit of extra glide and then potentially as it slows down, like come down nice and softly. So we'll try something crazy here. Ooh, I like that. I'm curious to see where all of those end up. It's a little bit blind down there, but we'll see which one will come into play on game day. Okay, so I didn't look at the T-sign. It was kind of silly, and I was just aiming for the shorter pin, but they've actually fused 1 and 2 together. And so I've got a pretty interesting look. It's playing as a 5-par right now. So right now I need a shot that requires relatively minimal effort, but with a maximum amount of glide for that required effort. And I really, really, really want to be on the left side of the fairway. So I'm almost thinking I might get kind of crazy and do like a high speed, but from a standstill. So I don't throw it at speed. So I get this like big arcing C shape. We'll see if that got enough leftward action, but I definitely got the glide that I wanted for a standstill. Okay, so I'm throwing for 3 right now, and my out was pretty good, but it didn't take me left, so I still have a really pinched off angle, at least for a right-hand backhand player like me. So this is kind of going to force me to pull out a few different shape shots in the repertoire. So that was a little bit tricky, and I think that came up short, so that actually makes me think I should go for something with a little more glide. Looks like we got caught up in the briar, so running for the basket may not be a good idea when I'm out of position. So I may actually just try a layup and get myself right to the mouth of the opening. Just play a nice, smart shot. All right, the deputy knows no hyzer whatsoever. Shade! It's like a slim chance in heck to make this one. But I feel like I just want to try it. Got the distance there. That was pretty wonky. Conservative play. I mean, gives me a better putt than any of my aggressive plays did. Ooh. Effort. All right, so once again, I'm looking for glide, stability, and a solid hyzer. Gonna go with the OptoX Chameleon Ballista. A little wide. Okay, not bad, but a little wide. So I think I may end up disking down, but I'm gonna increase the hyzer angle. So throw more of like a push hyzer instead of a spike hyzer. And I think that may help me traverse the slight uphill. Oh no, still super wide. A better result though, but I still think that's going to be wide open and an easy tee shot to execute. So we'll see what kind of shots it gives me. Okay, so we've got about 240 to the pin, slightly uphill, and we want a nice like late turning anhyzer shot. Nope. That's what I was worried my mace was gonna do. So let's just try the mace anyway. So I'm gonna adjust my step in just slightly. See if I can correct. Really, really close to correcting. I hit the line that I wanted, but I didn't give it quite enough power. So it is a layup for sure. Like, if I landed out of position, tree in the way, it'll be in the back. But during practice rounds, I really love to practice just eyeing a basket down, believing you've got the putt, and like seeing if it happens. I just watched Jessica Weiss all weekend throw like these most beautiful anhyzer putts, and this looks like a beautiful anhyzer putt. So we're gonna try and channel our inner Jay Weezy. Oh, not quite high enough, but love you, Jessie. All right, you guys, this is the infamous genius hole at Milo MacGyver. And I've seen everything from the highest speed disc you could choose to a mid-range off the tee on this one. So it really challenges your creativity. I almost think I'm gonna go with my gatekeeper off the tee here. I think maybe as like a probe to feel out how the fairway is playing, and then based on how the gatekeeper flies, I may decide to be more aggressive after that. Well, I think that went pretty well as far as like a conservative game plan. I know I can probably execute that, you know, maybe 6, 7 out of 8 out of 10. So now I think I'm gonna try to hit the same line, but with something a little bit faster, and see if we can really push the distance on that. Still might be flirting left, but definitely got a lot more distance. So I like that. I've got an aggressive play and a conservative play that are both really easy to execute, and that's gonna make decision making on game day much easier, I think. All right, so we're playing to a little bit of a different basket here. This is gonna be really tricky. I'm looking at OB, I'm looking at danger, I'm looking at danger, danger. So I need something straight, I need something trustworthy, and I need something that doesn't require too much effort to execute a really, really clean shot. And I know for a fact I do not want to err on the right side, so I'm gonna try and pick something a little bit more stable. I definitely don't want to be in the trees left, but at least I can take strokes on my own terms there instead of the OB strokes. Oh, so early. Super safe. maybe it's not really the disc selection I would like, but again, I think I would just prefer to hit my line here. So I'm gonna go with my Beefcake Biofusion Enforcer. Not really a whole lot better. I think I prefer the flex of the Opto Chameleon Ballista. So I've got some interesting lies in this practice round today. I don't think, it's an island green and I don't think I want to run it. I think I'm going to pull out another high speed, like not quite patent pending, but another like high speed standstill. That way I can just get like a classic hyzer shot shape and hopefully just put myself in good position here. Put me right behind a tree. I think that is an absolute no. So the only viable option is gonna get weird. I want something slow that's gonna check up. I want something that's gonna hyzer reliably. And I want something with the glide to where I can trust it to get to the green. I'm legal. Oh, sure trusted it wide, didn't I? Ha! Woo! We're safe. So, it wasn't a mid shot, and I think that was perfect. The glide was great. I was able to trust it, and because I was in that patent pending stance, not a lot of lower body power, so it carried the glide with just the arm movement super duper well. Hilarious. Thank you. Alrighty, so this one position is really, really crucial. Even though it's a really wide open tee shot and you're tempted to just like get a lot of distance, position is super duper key. So I almost want to say if you could take a little bit of distance off and land in a more ideal position, that might be more beneficial in the long run. We've got the whole kind of wraps from the tee pad up and to the right. So in my opinion, left side of the fairway and cruising along the skirt is going to be ideal. But we have a little bit of wind out here today, and this has been playing flippy. So I think because of that, we're gonna go with a slightly more stable disc, and I know that it's gonna have the leftward action that I desire. That's flirty. Ooh, perfectly flirty though. I was definitely playing it a little bit close on the left side, but I think that position is going to be super sweet to attack from the left side of the fairway. And yeah, we'll see where that puts me and see what I can do with it. Milo Gold getting fancy. This is a super interesting green. There's like a layer of logs around it, so it's difficult to kind of like skid up or to like play a skip play. So this is a shot where like you kind of want to just base it a little bit. We'll see how it plays out. Oh, I came up just short on the little logs I was talking about. Those are, this is the first time I played this hole, but those logs are really going to come into play. Maybe let's try something flippier and glidier with the warship. We'll see. I don't think that was necessarily better, but I did get the distance with that shot. So somewhere in between those two, I think would be like ideal. It's going to be quite the gauntlet with like 16, 17, and 18. All right. Oh, let's get the other putt. Let's see what that one looks like. Oh, it's not good. I can already tell. Oh no, it's worse the closer I get. Okay, so if you land in that bush, you're gonna abandon your lie and re-tee. That's clearly the play. All right guys, so that was a fun little practice round to kind of see what I'm going to be using to tackle the Beaver State Fling. Thank you so much for following and joining along. You can follow me on Instagram at SaiParananda if you'd like to. There is a link to some of my fundraiser discs in the bio there if you do happen to stop by. And yeah, thank you so much for coming by and look forward to next time.